Welcome to the Sky Bet League 2 recap. Yorking hell. The Minster men will be rejoining us next season. And how? MK's Keynesian economics takes them up to League 1, while beneath them the automatic race is still very exciting for the neutral. In the playoff places, it was amazing Jays for Grimsby at Blundell Park, Swindon, a fish out of water, and out the playoff places too. Steady on Callum, Barnet's number 10, scores 5, and at the bottom, can we believe it? No, I can't believe it. Frankly, absurd scenes at Rodney Parade sends us into final day with a ridiculous relegation situation. This is the Sky Bet League 2 recap from Not the Top 20 podcast, sponsored by Sky Bet and the Sky Bet EFL Building Foundations Fund. And, George, this fourth tier is not failing to impress and excite.
No, it's not. I mean, it's the most exciting of all the leagues going into final day. We don't know yet who is going to win the league. We don't know yet who's going to take the third automatic promotion spot. We don't know who's going to get the final playoff berth, and we don't know who's going to get relegated yet. Albeit there is one team who are probably pretty much down, but not yet. So yeah, all to play for, and should be good on final day.
The weekend started on Thursday. Salford hosting Bromley. Bromley already promoted. Been partying for much of the week, you'd imagine. They lost 2-0 to Salford. They had some good chances in the first half. Matty Young had to be alert on a few occasions. There wasn't really much happening in the game until George Jorge Grant broke the game open with such a pure strike from 25 yards through the legs of the defender into the corner. And then he put in a sensational in-swinging corner headed in by Ollie Turton. So a massive win for Salford, keeps them in with a shout of an automatic promotion spot heading into final day. They continue their strong form. 7 wins in 10 for Salford, only 5 conceded in that time. Defensively, they've got very, very watertight, and they have such quality at the top of the pitch as well, as we saw here, even when they're not fit and firing as a unit. George Grant from range, could be Dan Udo, could be Ryan Graydon, could be anyone really. So Salford win on Thursday, and then their focus switches to what Cambridge and Notts County would do over the weekend. They both won. So third spot very much up for grabs. Andy Woodman had a good interview after this one. Like the interviewer clearly wasn't quite sure what sort of a vibe Woodman would have after this defeat, but promotion already confirmed. Obviously leaves them vulnerable to not winning the league, with MK winning on Saturday and going top of the league with 1 game to go. And he just went, irrelevant.
Yeah.
Lads are sitting in the dressing room all somber. Come on. Bromley Football Club, promoted to League 1. How can I be negative? So there you go. This result, whether Andy Woodman cares or not, did mean that Bromley, who've been top since the 29th of December, became vulnerable in top spot, and MK Dons steamrollered Tranmere to secure their promotion and take top spot heading into final day.
Yeah, exactly. Put themselves in the driving seat to win the title, which they'll want. I think especially because they've been trying to chase down Bromley for so long, it'll probably feel like quite a big deal for them if they do get over the line with a trip to Fleetwood on final day. They're pretty good here. It feels like they've kind of found their groove again in terms of just churning out wins. Brilliant hit from Mendes Lang after a Patterson long throw was cleared. But then 3 minutes later, Gilby one-upped him with a ridiculous strike from the edge of the area into the top right-hand corner. Tranmere had a few chances, but weren't able to take any of them before Patterson converted from a corner. This is the second time in a couple of, it's their third win in a row. It's the second time in a couple of weeks that MK Dons have put 3 past their opponents. It feels like they are the best team in the league who are finally showing it now. And I'd be surprised if they didn't win the league.
Yeah, we've done special episodes for all the promoted teams so far. We'll be doing that for Milton Keynes as well, so keep an eye out over the next few days, MK fans, on the pod feed and on our YouTube channel as well. We're going to be chatting about how did MK Dons do this? How did they secure this remarkable promotion with an absolutely massive budget and an incredible team and a promotion specialist in the dugout. But also we're going to look ahead to next season because, with respect, I think the thing that me and George probably find more interesting than detailing how they did it is what will they do next season? Because based on our understandings, they probably, this season, their budget would have been about the 8th biggest in League One. And so we can certainly expect it to be top 6 probably in League One next season. So they could be an interesting factor there. Cambridge, will they be the third team joining Bromley and MK in League One via automatic promotion? They did what they needed to do at home to Barrow, win by 3-0, and there was a bit of pressure on after they lost 2-1 to Grimsby in midweek in injury time. I know because I was at that game. I went to 2 back-to-back Cambridge games against Bromley and Cambridge United. I felt like I was sort of an undercover cop, a Cambridge fan for about a week or so. And let me tell you, there was the train back to London with half a dozen Cambridge fans after they lost to Grimsby. A rational bunch, a smart bunch, and knew that the league table still was in their favour, and knew that the home game against Barrow...
Well, heads gone.
Heads were wobbling.
Okay.
Heads were wobbling. But the team stepped up here. Nice first goal. Don Ball with a lovely lifted ball to the back stick. Liam Bennett heading across for Ben Knight to score. Now, big goal that for Ben Knight, because he's obviously been a huge player for Cambridge this season. It's a great story, because apparently he was considering retiring because he just couldn't get going in his senior career, having had famously an amazing youth career and being a Man City player at one point. And Cambridge and Mark Bonner, the director of football, he's a local lad to the area. They said, look, just come and train. Let's give it a go. He's ended up being their best attacking player this season, their top goal scorer this season. He went on an amazing goal-scoring run in mid-season where the types of goal he was scoring as well were just brilliant. Lifted this Cambridge side, who are brilliant defensively, but not an unbelievable attacking team. And Knight is the one that raises their ceiling. But the last few weeks, it hasn't quite been coming off for him. Missed a 1-on-1 against Bromley in the first half, and then missed the penalty in midweek, hit it down the middle, and the keeper saved it, which is always a pretty tough visual. So scores a massive goal here, rights the wrongs of the last couple of games. I love that he was the one to have that big moment. Who else scores big goals? Big Game Gibbons. What a hit, son. Yeah. What a player. Love Gibbons. Surely an iconic Cambridge United goal if they do go on and secure promotion automatically on Saturday. The third goal was an Adam Mayer corner that went all the way in. Poor from the keeper, Stanley. They're not there yet, Cambridge. They are certainly not there yet. We'll talk about Notts in a second, but they needed this win. They have finished the season at home with the best record in the league, 15 wins from 23, only 2 defeats, conceding 15 goals in 23 games. So the Abbey's been a real fortress for them this season. For Barrow, who they beat, it's a pretty tough scene. They're on 36 now, and we're going to tell the story of some of the teams around them, but next above them is Harrogate on 39 with a 4-goal better goal difference than them. And Crawley are on 39 as well, the only other team they can catch, but Crawley's goal difference is 8 goals better than Barrow. So mathematically not down, but highly likely to drop out of the Football League. Notts County, they are still in with a chance of a top 3 finish, George, because they went to Colchester United in pretty poor form, and they stepped up. Good performance and a good win.
Do you know what? I think this is one of the more impressive performances of the weekend. They were really good. It may not look that flashy going to a Colchester side with nothing to play for, winning 1-0. A close range finish from Sarula just after half time, but they were brilliant throughout. Jatt had a couple of opportunities that were well saved. The man of the match in the whole game on both teams was the Colchester United keeper, Matt Macey. He was the person that kept the scoreline down. So, for Notts County coming into this, as you say, in poor form, having had that disappointing result against Barnet, a bad result here would have been pretty awkward for them in terms of their top 7 credentials, because had they lost this one, then they would have been in threat of losing it entirely. But instead, they secured their position in the playoffs, and they've kept their place where it's a massive long shot. But if Cambridge and Salford slip up on final day and they can find a win, then they can go up automatically. So a big performance at a big time for them. And Colchester generally pretty good at home, and a side that you don't expect to make it easy. So big credit to Notts County for securing that spot and finding a bit of form towards the back end. If they play like that between now and the end of the season, then it could be a longer season until the end.
Yeah. A couple of big returnees from injury for them seem to have really helped their concrete rod at the back. Rob McDonald, Scott Robertson came off the bench, who's one of their better midfield players. Jaden Luca looked pretty lively, and Jatta came back from, I can't remember if he was injured or suspended, but he's been missing recently as well. So things looking a little healthier for Notts if they do make it into the playoffs. And who knows, on final day, they need to win, right? Frankly, if Cambridge win, nothing else matters. They're at Crewe, and they have a point advantage over Salford and a 2-point advantage over Notts County. So Cambridge win at Crewe, that's them up. Salford City, they are primed to capitalise on any other Cambridge result. They'll go ahead of Cambridge if Salford win at Crawley. with a Cambridge draw or defeat. A draw wouldn't be enough for Salford in any scenario due to goal difference. Notts County can still grab third position. That needs Cambridge to lose and Salford to draw or lose, and for Notts to beat the incredible Bristol Rovers at home. So all to play for on final day. The playoff places as well. There is one spot up for grabs, Grimsby Town. Well, they'll be there. Whatever happens on final day, Grimsby Town will be there, and they did so in a way that would have pleased a lot of their fans who don't look back very fondly at the Ian Holloway tenure at Grimsby Town. Yeah. They beat his Swindon side 4-0, a result that secures Grimsby's playoff spot and sees Swindon drop out of the playoffs altogether ahead of their final day showdown against 7th place Chesterfield.
Yes. It's a shocking day for Swindon, and listening to Ian Holloway's post-match interview was, even by his standards, kind of remarkable. Like, he really, really stuck the boot in. He kept saying it was one of the worst performances from any of his teams ever. They were pathetic, he said. Spoke about a couple of players they were missing, but then just said that he didn't recognise the team that were put out there. Kept doing that classic manager thing of being like, don't blame them, blame me.
Yeah.
But then seemingly,
but really they are all bastards
going after them. Yeah. And yeah, it kind of feels like rock bottom, really. But I've got this kind of theory about football where sometimes when a team is being caught, and they are caught, which Swindon are now, and they become the chaser, things can actually change. And it wouldn't surprise me that much if they find a way to improve, at least against Chesterfield on Saturday, and what's a proper winner-takes-all clash, albeit if it's a draw, it'll be Chesterfield that take all. But we'll talk about Swindon, when it's time to talk about them, because this is all about Grimsby, really. Again, an amazing display at a time where they really needed it. Took the lead through a penalty, which has been their kryptonite this season. And the man who started the season on penalties, who missed a couple and then had them taken off him, and it was kind of shared around the team. He was back on penalty duty. High pressure penalty, and he was cool as a cucumber.
I love his temperament, Cabia. He's a proper goldfish type. Yeah. He just gets loads of chances. He wants every opportunity to score, misses some quite big chances, scores some quite big chances. Feels like neither outcome that impact him at all. He's just confident.
I agree. I think he's going to be someone we talk about for quite a few years, and his goal scoring capabilities, because this is his first season in the EFL, and he's done an unbelievable job. Not always playing through the middle, often playing off the left, but with 18 goals in League Two, it's been an amazing season for him. In a hat trick hero here. But there were two great goals in this. Kabia's second was a header from a set piece, free header. And Holloway mentioned how much Swindon missed Tafazoli, and it's kind of hard to think that Jace Kabia would have had a free header in the middle of the box from a set piece had he been there. But the two goals I want to talk about. Firstly, Maldini Kachuri with one of the best headers, but I can't really work out if it kind of feels to me like he might have got a push in the back as he's heading it, because it's a header from the edge of the area, which goes in the top right-hand corner. Like, it's an absolutely ridiculous strike after a decent Staunton set piece that's put onto his head. Like, an amazing, amazing header. It's not often that you can't look at the keeper, but I don't think Conor Ripley could really do anything about it. And then my favourite, a launch ball down the middle from Jackson Smith. There's I think Cook goes up for it with the defender, but I can't really work out if he didn't get a touch in it. And it falls to Jace Kabia, who's running onto it. And from fully 25 yards, he just takes it first time, just smashes it into the bottom left-hand corner with his left foot. Perfect hat-trick, penalty with his right, second with his head, third with his left foot. A ridiculous variety of goals too. And just a great day for Grimsby, who, because of the if you look at the league table, it's easy to think that they aren't safe yet, because Swindon, who are currently 8th, are only 2 points behind them. But because Swindon and Chesterfield play each other, it means they are absolutely guaranteed of finishing in the top 7. An amazing job, well done from Dave Artell. It does feel like, had they not had a bit of a mid-season wobble, they really should have been in contention for the top 3. And they are so close to being that, but it's impossible from this stage. But they are hitting the playoffs in, I would probably say, the best consistent format of any of the teams likely to get into it, unless maybe Cambridge fall into it. So really impressed by what they're doing.
I'm very excited for the League Two playoffs, and a big part of that is because Grimsby are such a strong team at the moment, and as a club, what a record they've had in cup competitions over the last few years as well. It feels like they love the big occasion. Chesterfield, it was a big game for them at home to Crewe. They did the business, 2-0 win. Both goals from Lee Bonnis, who's coming to the boil at the right time. Crewe did have a goal disallowed through Tesgel, correctly disallowed, I think. He also hit the bar at 1-0, so it wasn't all straightforward for Chesterfield, but their first goal, front four, all involved. Dobra, Mandeville, Markanday and Bonnis sort of stabbing in. And then the second one, Mandeville through to Bonus. I've just pronounced his name twice differently in the space of 4 seconds, which is pretty impressive. Lee Bonus. Someone let me know. Big win for Chesterfield. Means, as we know, it's a straight shootout between them and Swindon. They have the advantage in that they are a point more than Swindon, so the draw favours Chesterfield. But Swindon have home advantage, and that is obviously quite a big advantage. Currently, the odds with Sky Bet suggest Chesterfield strong favourites to do what they need. But, just exactly the sort of game that you want on final day from a neutral point of view. Got to keep all eyes on Swindon Chesterfield, 3 p.m. on Saturday. Barnet, if the season was 2 games longer, you'd think they might have nicked a playoff spot, but they just got going too late. They beat Gillingham 6-2 on Saturday, with Callum Stead, their number 10, scoring after 6 minutes, after 15 minutes, after 16 minutes, after 30 minutes, and after 70 minutes. 5 goals for Callum Stead. The first player to do so in the EFL since 2012. Therefore, the first player in the pod era to score 5 in a game. That is awesome. That is awesome. The first in the top 4 tiers to score 5 since Sergio Aguero in 2015. So over 10 years since someone has done this in league football in the top 4 tiers. Just excellent. And, Barnet created some very good chances for him and he stuck them all away. There's not really much more you can say about it. Like, it was a lot of good close range finishing, some of it scrappy, some of them nice first time finishes. I think there was a header in there as well. Honestly, I've kind of forgotten the 5 because they all seemed relatively similar and relatively straightforward. That's because Gills are a very, very poor team at the moment and allowed Barnet to create lots and lots of chances against them. Their bright spot was a youngster called Sullivan Booth, which feels a bit more like a kind of wartime footballer than a 17-year-old in 2026.
How's he not going by Sully?
Sully Booth.
Yeah, surely.
Maybe he will from this moment on.
The van man.
He scored early on off the left, attacking the back post. Very nice. And then got a really nice assist playing off the right, finding some room for a cross, digging it out and getting the assist there. So well done, Sully Booth. Barnet cannot make the playoffs. It might look like they can based on the fact that they're only 3 points off Chesterfield, but of course, in any instance where Chesterfield lose, Swindon would be the ones to benefit because they would be going above Chesterfield. So a good first season at the level for Barnet. We are biased because we thought they'd finish top 3 and we really felt they'd be quite strong. I can't help but feel a little bit dismayed that they haven't finished higher because I think at their best, they are a very, very good team and they've shown that by finishing the season really, really strongly, but they just couldn't win in both boxes basically for the first half of the season, and that meant they found wins very, very difficult to come by. But an interesting team ahead of next season, that's for sure. At the bottom, well,
here we go.
We've already mentioned Barrow's defeat and what that meant for them. We've already talked about Tranmere's defeat at MK. They are still top of the 5-team pile. Tranmere on 40 points. Level on points with them and Newport County on 40 points. Crawley are on 39. Then there's the dotted line. Harrogate are also on 39. And Barrow on 36, as we say, with a huge amount would have to happen for Barrow to stay up. So it's as good as one team going down from a group of 4 that are all separated by 1 point. And the reason Newport are on 40 and not 38 is because they beat Oldham 3-2, George. And I probably say this too often, but I think that's the best game of the season in the EFL. I think that's the most dramatic
in the EFL
game
in the world
this season.
Yeah, everyone was kind of going crazy about York Rochdale, fair enough. But this was absolutely ridiculous. This was absolutely absurd.
This was absolutely ridiculous. This was absolutely absurd.
Newport County 3, Oldham Athletic 2. Obviously, the difference with these is that for Oldham, this was just a run out, right? There was nothing on this. But for Newport County, if Fuchs gets them over the line and keeps them in the league, it'll be one of the most impressive achievements for Newport County Football Club and for a rookie manager to pull off that I can remember, because they were as written off as any team I can remember in a league that don't have points deductions coming into this. I think they were 2-1 for relegation before the season started in a league where only 2 teams relegated. And they started the season poorly. They've been detached at the bottom. They spent most of the campaign in the bottom 2. And this was a huge game, especially because on final day they played Barrow. They travelled to Barrow to be able to basically get clear of Barrow before that game started. Massive. It was so big. They start off with Bobby Camwer, who is a kind of just this player who posts really good numbers, scores incredible goals, misses a lot of chances, just kind of big main character energy. And wow, is he the main character here? But he scores the goal of the game with a beautiful strike into the top right-hand corner from the left corner of the box. He'd scored a goal recently that was very similar to it. He's obviously got it in his locker. And that sent the Newport County fans into delirium, only for Oldham to spoil the party. Sutton and Simeu scoring 2 goals to put Oldham 2-1 up in the first half. And then a kind of interesting moment where, I don't know what you thought, but Mike Fondop-Talum is sent off for kind of an off-the-ball incident, but it feels like he's kind of challenging for the ball but gets there late and just really clatters the Newport County man.
Not sure I would define that as an off-the-ball incident. But it's an aerial challenge. He's been sent off for...
I guess off the ball in terms of that he doesn't actually get near the ball.
Right.
But it's like he's challenging...
I was surprised he got sent off.
Yeah, same. Because it didn't look like a... But it's funny.
But we didn't have a great angle to see what he did with his arms.
No, I agree. But also, if he is genuinely... Because my point, I guess, is that it's an aerial duel where he gets nowhere near the ball. So if you are a striker who just completely cleans out a defender with no interest in playing the ball and kind of poleaxes him, then I guess that can be violent conduct too, even if you're not deliberately elbowing him in the face.
Yeah.
They're not often given. I was surprised to see a red, but a red was given either way. And that invited Newport into the game. And boy, did they get back in the game. Shortly after half-time, Ben Lloyd scored a goal to make it 2-2. And then we saw pressure. Because the stats in the second half have Newport County having 20 shots in the second half, 12 on target, creating loads of opportunities. But because there was a long stoppage in play kind of halfway through the second half, it meant that there was, I don't know how many minutes actually went up on the board, but an absurd amount of added time was added on. And there were so many chances late in the game. We saw, because Hudson, who came off for Oldham, and was replaced by Tom Donaghy, who made a string of incredible saves late on in the game. When he was beaten, there was one chance to cannon back off the crossbar. But finally, 90 plus 15, so in the 106th minute of play, Newport County are awarded a penalty. And it's that man, Bobby Camwer, looking to score his second goal of the game. Hits it really true and well in the bottom left-hand corner. But the keeper dives to his right and makes the save. Newport County fans cannot believe it, but the ball gets recycled back out to the left a couple of minutes later, and it's played in. And massive credit to, who was it? I think it was Cole Jarvis, who does a really good. Because initially I thought it was offside, but it's a dummy as the ball comes through to him.
Great dummy.
And he lets it go through to Camwer, who races onto the ball. A player who scored an incredible goal to start the game. A player who's just missed an incredibly crucial penalty. And he's the coolest man in Wales, and just plants it in the bottom right-hand corner, whips off his top, and ridiculous scenes in the 90 plus 18th minute.
Amazing.
Incredible game of football. Incredible win for Newport County. Understandably, given the amount of added on time and the way that it all transpired, mind-bogglingly frustrating for Barrow, Harrogate, and Crawley fans, and Tranmere fans too, I guess. But unbelievable drama. To the extent that we're on a WhatsApp group with our sometimes betting show contributor and TLS colleague Nick Goff, who messaged saying, OMFG, Newport, and I replied being like, yeah, heartbreak. And he went, no, they've scored. And I just assumed he was talking about the missed penalty. Absolutely remarkable.
I don't know, Jeff. Have they?
Yeah.
Incredible. And if I were a Harrogate fan, I'd be like, bit annoying, obviously in terms of the league table. And because had Newport not scored, Harrogate would have been out the relegation zone. But also because I'd be like, we went to Walsall and just won 2-0. Just cozy. None of this drama. We just went and won. Just did our business. So let's celebrate that. 0-0. Both teams hit the post at 0-0. Harrogate keeper Oxley also made a big save. And the main character energy in this game, Sean Mikulski. Now, unlike Bobby Camwer, who has played almost every game for Newport this season and who has broadly main character energy in all of them, Sean Mikulski signs last summer, scored some goals for Maidenhead in the National League last season. 1 goal in 1,200 minutes in a Harrogate shirt before this game. The goal that he scores to make it 1-0, I mean, what a hit, son. What a hit. 25 yards, bent into the top corner, 1-0 Harrogate. Then he's the one that runs in behind to finish, to win it 2-0. That's back-to-back wins for Harrogate. They would have been out the relegation zone had Newport not scored in the last minute. They would have been out the relegation zone had Crawley not come from behind 3 times at Accrington. What a bonkers weekend.
Yeah, Crawley, showing an incredible willingness and ability to come back. In this one, Wood scored 2 goals for Accrington, Sinclair with the other, putting Accrington 1-0 up, 2-1 up and 3-2 up. But huge credit to Crawley, who kept bouncing back. Forster, it was Taylor Richards and Jay Williams with the 3 goals. I think it was probably fair enough on the balance of play, albeit again game state would have dictated this, but Crawley made most of the running in the game, created a lot of chances, and in the second half, having got level, they had a couple of chances in injury time, with Forster having a shot save really late on right at the death, which would have been a huge goal for Crawley if they won the game 4-3 and got them clear. As it is, though, they are only outside the bottom 2 on goal difference ahead of Harrogate. They host Salford, who will basically know going into that game that in order to, or they do know, to have a chance of finishing the top 3, they're going to have to win it. It feels really tough, that, to me, and I've got a nasty feeling that Crawley, or for Crawley fans, that they're going to have to rely on Harrogate, who host Barnet. Barnet have nothing to play for, but are currently one of, if not the best team in the league. So it's kind of an interesting situation down at the bottom end of League 2, where a lot of teams in the mix, but Tranmere, who play Grimsby, so Tranmere, Crawley and Harrogate basically all have games against some of the best teams in the division, which means that a point here and a point there actually could be incredibly important, and whoever wins, I'm sure will get themselves out of the mess. So you and I are going to be watching final day together. We're going to be at Millwall, Oxford, then we're going to find a pub to watch the League 1 and League 2 stuff unfold. And I'm kind of most excited about this fight at the bottom end of League 2 because it's going to directly impact what happens in the top 3 race. And
incredible.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, loved that dummy shot from Isaac Sinclair to create the space for his finish, for his goal. 3-3 there. Incredible relegation picture. Incredible what Bristol Rovers are doing, obviously, because they're not involved in any sort of battle, either promotion or relegation. Probably the longest winning run to be not hugely covered in depth by NTT20, for which I guess we apologise, but it's not great timing for it, is it, when there's so much else going on? It's the longest winning run in the EFL this season has been put together by Bristol Rovers under Steve Evans. They beat Cheltenham 4-0. Incredible atmosphere, carnival stuff. Ellis Harrison scoring 2 headers for his first 2 goals and then scoring from fully 50 yards for his hat-trick, having latched onto a loose ball and just smashed it sort of over / past the keeper. And then at 3-0, Steve Evans, as he promised, going into the fans behind the goal for the last 10 minutes of the last home game of the season. Frankly, absurd scenes, but also incredibly funny. Just kind of shows the vibe there at the moment, and you can understand it because they were in a hell of a mess. And now they've put together the longest winning run in the whole EFL this season. Of course, while he was in there, Shaq Ford scores at the back post. And after celebrating initially in the corner without the gaffer, they then sort of find the pocket where Steve Evans is. And there's a big bundle and a big mob and just, incredible scenes, to be honest. So, good times at Bristol Rovers at the moment. We did a shoot there with for our work with the Sky Bet EFL Building Foundations Fund back in December. The Extra Time programme, music and monologues. And I was chatting with Costa Chard recently, who I met that day, who's really key part of the Bristol Rovers Community Trust team. And he did just mention that their Rebound for Rovers programme, which has been going for 5 years and started with one participant, now has over 30 regular attendees. It's a mental health support programme. It's about building up people's confidence, giving some community, but also helping with pathways forward. So participants on the Rebound with Rovers programme so far have moved into coaching roles, into volunteering, and some of them into employment as well. 5 former attendees are now qualified coaches, and those coaches have supported at least 5 people back into employment. So it's been an amazing programme already. The good news is it's continuing to grow with funding from Sport England, and that's enabled the launch of Rebound with Rovers Women's Project. So for Bristol Rovers fans, Rebound with Rovers now has, sort of two aspects of it. The women's project starts in June on Wednesdays at midday at the Lockleys Sports Centre, free for all women, and led by Helen Cox, who started on the programme as a participant and is now an assistant coach and a programme leader. So, Costa told me about that good news, great news for all in the local area. And so I thought I'd mention, in case that's of interest to anyone listening or any family members or friends, the new Rebound with Rovers Women's Project. Last but not least, Shrewsbury 2, Fleetwood 2. It's often in these games that sort of crazy stuff happens that almost gets forgotten immediately. In this instance, one of the goals of the season from Ishmael Kabia, he was even overshadowed by Jay's Kabia this weekend with Jay's hat trick. But make sure you watch Ishmael's Kabia goal, which made it 2-2. Fleetwood going 2 up and then giving away that lead. Ruffles pulling one back, and then Ishmael Kabia with an absolute worldie. So League 2, without a doubt, the most entertaining of the 3 leagues as we go into final day, with pretty much everything still up for grabs. We're going to be recapping it on Saturday night. So our weekend recap will come out early. Don't miss it. Next week, you'll be able to listen to it or watch it on Sunday. And then, of course, we'll have a playoff preview as well, sort of midway through next week too. So lots to look forward to. We're really enjoying it and hope you're enjoying the pods as well. With thanks, go well.